Hello, and welcome to this online workshop on managing anxiety during the transition back to school in September, following COVID-19. My name is Katerina, and along with my colleague Maria, we will be talking about what anxiety is, how it works, and we will also be covering some practical strategies that you can use in order to manage its impact on your daily life. We are children and young people's psychological well-being practitioners. Our service is part of the Barnet Integrated Clinical Services. BICS offers a range of social, emotional, behavioral, mild to moderate mental health support for children, young people and families across the borough of Barnet. More specifically, we work with children and young people who are feeling stressed, anxious, worried and low in mood. We also work with parents of younger children who are experiencing anxiety or behavioral difficulties. In our sessions, we discuss practical ways and strategies that young people and families can use in their daily life to manage their difficulties better. To begin with, we would like to acknowledge the significant impact of the current pandemic on the mental health of young people by providing some statistics from a recent survey that was conducted this summer in the UK by Young Minds, exploring the impact of COVID-19 on young people with mental health needs. So as you can see, 80% of the young people reported that the current pandemic had made their mental health worse. 87% of respondents said that they felt lonely or isolated during the lockdown, even if 71% of them had been able to stay in contact with their friends. And 11% of young people said that their mental health had improved during the pandemic as a result of them being away from everyday pressures such as bullying and academic pressure in school. It is very normal for all of us to experience a range of different emotions at different times in our lives. Anxiety as well is a normal feeling that we all experience from time to time. And it can also be quite helpful because it alerts us to potential threats and it also helps us to move towards safety. So a little bit of anxiety, it can be a good thing. However, if you feel that your anxiety is too much and stops you from doing the things you want to do in your daily life, then maybe this is when you need to ask for help to learn some strategies so your anxiety doesn't have such a big impact on you.
We all lived uncertain and rapidly changing time recently. COVID-19 has led to feelings of uncertainty. The disruption and social isolation has caused an impact on our well-being. We all have noticed and experienced a significant change in our life. Studying from home has brought new challenges. We adapted our studies virtually. We have received materials while we were at home. We could also be concerned about tests. Change may interrupt the usual flow of our daily life and disrupt our normal functioning. It's been a difficult experience from the start, triggered by the loss of usual routine and plans, direct contact with groups of friends, and more time spent at home than you would like. Or maybe you've got used to the ups and downs of lockdown, a mix of good days as well as bad days. However, the change has affected us. For many young people, experiencing a sense of uncertainty has created high-level stress, and it is tough. It is okay to have felt worried and scared during this time. As lockdown has been an unprecedented period of our lives, these have changed our daily basis activities. As these have changed, we could have experienced a feeling of loss for not being able to meet our friends. We are social creatures, and being separated from our close friends could be difficult. Perhaps we miss celebrating birthdays, being able to hug someone, and when things feel difficult, having a real shoulder to cry on. At the same time, new behaviors have been introduced, and we started to adopt changes. We all now wear face masks when we go into the shops. We use hand sanitizer more often, and we keep 2 meters distance when we walk outside.
During a period of uncertainty, it is very normal that most of us will experience some anxiety and worries associated with getting back to a new normality, which we are not yet sure how it will look like. Some of you might experience worries associated with the transition back to school after COVID-19. Some of these worries might have to do with not wanting to separate from your parents and carers, especially following a period that you were spending a lot of time with them during the quarantine. Feeling nervous about academic expectations and engaging with the school routine. Also difficulties experienced being related to engaging back into a structured routine following the changes of the lockdown period. As we said before, we all had to adapt to new ways of working and studying from home, and our routines have been disrupted. Also feeling nervous about meeting your friends after such a long period of time. Many young people might worry whether things would be the same. Feeling worried about COVID-19 itself. Would you and your family be safe? Also worries associated with the anxiety as a result of social interactions. So some young people might be worried when thinking about going back into a noisy and crowded space as the one of school, and also feeling anxious of being around other people, especially after a period that they might have felt safe and secure being at home. Also some worries associated with who can support you in school if you feel anxious or overwhelmed. Is there an identified person that you can speak to if things get difficult? These are all very valid and normal worries to have, especially during a period of uncertainty. They might feel overwhelming to you, but remember, you are not alone, and many of your friends might share the same or similar thoughts and fears. In the next few slides, we talk about what you can do to manage these worries, and we cover some practical strategies to minimize their impact on your daily life.
To understand how anxiety and your worries work, we can look at this as a cycle. Anxiety affects our thoughts. How does that particular situation make you think? Our emotions and physical sensations, how did these make you feel? And our behaviors, how did you react as a result of your thoughts and feelings? It's important to consider how thoughts, feelings and behaviors impacted on each other. The way we interpret a situation impacts on how we feel and what we do. Here is an example of being at home doing homework during the lockdown. We might have thoughts such as, I can't concentrate for my homework, I have a lot to do. We may also feel nervous and worried, and we have stomach pain or sweaty hands. As a result, we could worry and avoid doing homework. As you can see, thoughts, feelings, and behavior impacted on each other. We all get caught in unhelpful thinking traps or unhelpful behavior cycles sometimes. Here you can find other examples of how the cycle works. You might have thoughts such as, I can't do it, I won't cope, I will fail, it's hopeless. Has never happened to you to experience feeling sick or shaky or your heart beating fast and butterflies in your stomach? And what did you do? Did you avoid doing something or even procrastinate? Start panicking or overdoing studying a revision and getting exhausted? Or being by yourself and not talking to anybody? Are any of these examples relating to you in some way?
Another important aspect of anxiety is the fight, flight, freeze response, which causes a number of unpleasant physical symptoms, which you can see at the right part of this slide. This is a normal response that our body has in the face of a life-threatening situation. The fight, flight, freeze response helps our body to either run to avoid danger or get stronger to be able to fight the enemy. For example, our heart beats really fast to pump the blood to our arms and legs to help us run faster or get stronger. We might feel sick because the blood is diverted from our stomach to the main muscle groups, again, so we can run faster or get really strong to be able to fight the enemy. However, most of the time, the trigger of our anxiety is neither dangerous or life-threatening. So it's more like our brain that misinterprets a safe situation as dangerous, and the fight, flight, freeze response is activated. An important thing to remember is that although unpleasant, these physical symptoms are harmless. So a really good metaphor to illustrate how the fight, flight, freeze response works is the smoke alarm metaphor. Has it ever happened to you that after you put a slice of bread in your toaster, your smoke alarm goes off, even if there is no real fire? So basically, this is how the fight, flight, freeze response works when you get anxious sometimes. Your brain is telling you that you are in front of a life-threatening and dangerous situation, even if there is not an actual danger around. Of course, this happens to all of us sometimes. However, if the faulty smoke alarm goes off and gets in the way of you doing the things you want to do in your life, then maybe this is when you need to ask for help so you can learn some strategies to manage this better.
Having an understanding of how our worries and anxiety are maintaining and how the fight, flight, freeze response works. What does all of this tell us about our emotional well-being? When you get sick, where do you go? When you have the flu, what do you do? Would it be different if you felt stressed, worried, sad, or angry? In recognizing the signs of our worries and anxiety, we will build the ability to see these coming and do our best to avoid or reduce these. So, what can we do about it?
So when we get anxious, our mind produces all sorts of negative thoughts. Most of these thoughts are based on worst-case scenarios of what could potentially go wrong in the future. So a really good way to manage this is to learn ways to challenge your negative thinking and actually asking yourself, are my negative thoughts based on real facts? So worrying a lot about the future and making all sorts of negative scenarios in our heads, although it gives us a sense of safety and makes us feel prepared for the future, at the same time increases our anxiety and makes us worry about things that might never happen. Some of us might also have biased ways of thinking, focusing only on the negatives and disregarding the positive aspects of a situation. And sometimes we also forget that even if the worst happens, we can still deal with it. So to develop a more balanced way of thinking, you can consider the following questions when your negative thoughts pop up. So what evidence supports what I am predicting? Do I have real evidence that my negative thoughts are true? What is the evidence against what I am predicting? Do I have any evidence that prove that my negative thoughts are not true? What alternative views are there? Are there any other ways of looking at that situation? What is the worst that can happen? Realistically, what is most likely to happen? And if the worst happens, what can I do about it? So this is more like problem solving, which my colleague Maria will be covering in the next slide. And you will see that by learning effective problem solving and trying to find solutions to problems, you automatically acquire a sense of control over your difficulties.
We all experience different problems. The nature of these problems varies, as well as the impact they have on us, but they often cause us stress and anxiety. Learning how to break problems down and resolve them can be incredibly helpful to develop in order to help to reduce worry and stress. Think about a problem you have currently and would like to try to resolve. Try to be as clear as possible and think about what you would like to achieve by resolving the problem. Think about the possible solutions to this problem and write down. It doesn't matter how unusual or silly the solutions are, write all possible down. Choose a solution to try. It can be helpful to think about all the reasons for and against each possible solution to help you decide which is the best option to try out. Rate each solution from 1 to 10. Put your plan to resolve the problem into action and once complete, review the outcome. If you have resolved the problem, this is fantastic. But if not, then think about whether there are alternative solutions or changes that can be made to your original solution. Another strategy that you can use is the opposite action. The idea behind the opposite action technique is that it can help to deal with distressing emotions by setting into motion an action that is helpful and not harmful. For example, if you are angry, there are many actions that we might take to express our angry feelings. We fight, we yell, or we argue. But if the action that we take is one that is opposite to the emotion we feel, like take some time to calm down or talk to someone, then we have put our energy into something that is eventually going to make us feel better. Similar thing is when we feel sad. We tend to withdraw from our friends. But if we practice the opposite action by visiting and talk to our best friends or our family or our teacher, we have done the opposite way, the opposite action, or what we usually do.
So you might have noticed that when you feel worried, your breathing quickens and becomes shallow, as we discussed before when talking about the fight, flight, freeze response. So a really good way to manage this is to practice breathing exercises. By taking slow, deep breaths, you can relax your body, your heart will start a bit slower and you will feel less tense and worried. So a really important thing to remember when you practice breathing exercises is to take slow, deep breaths, starting from the bottom of your stomach. Imagine the bottom of your stomach as a balloon that goes in and out every time you breathe in and every time you breathe out. So try taking in a slow, deep breath, starting from the bottom of your stomach in through the nose. Hold the breath for 2 seconds and breathe out as slowly as you can through the nose or mouth. You can repeat for as many times as you want until you feel you have calmed down.
We want also to share with you some top tips you might find useful to try out. Choose the ones that resonate to you most and put in practice with your family and friends. You can create your own self-care menu where your ingredients are things that will help you for your well-being to be uplifted. Remind yourself that it is normal to feel anxious or and worried sometimes. You can always talk to someone, your best friend, your parents, or your teacher. You can try out the breathing technique explained by Katerina, and you can problem solve a problem you have. You can use positive self-talks and create your positive affirmation cards. Have fun engaging with meaningful and enjoyable activities, and be gentle with yourself.
8 steps to well-being. So this is a list of different ideas and strategies that you can try out when you feel anxious or worried, and they can help you feel better and improve your mood. Talking, being open with people you trust about how you're feeling. Sometimes it's really helpful to share your thoughts and feelings with others instead of keeping them inside, which might make you feel overwhelmed. Exercising, having a healthy lifestyle, eating healthy, looking after your body by playing sport. Calming, trying meditation, having good sleep habits. You can also try yoga or having a hot bath before you go to bed at night. Learning, by learning a new skill, you acquire a sense of achievement, and it's also a great way to gain confidence. Relating, spending time with your loved ones and the people you care about. Contributing, helping others or contributing to causes you believe in. A good idea might be to start volunteering for a charity, for example. creating, expressing yourself creatively through music, art, drama, and writing. And also congratulating, being kind to yourself, treating yourself with kindness and care like you would treat a friend. Sometimes during our daily lives, we tend to focus only on the negatives and dismiss the positive things that are happening. So it's really important to be able to notice your positive qualities. You can set time aside and write 3 things down that went well during the day. This is an activity that you can also do before you go to bed at night. We have listed here a few self-help resources and services which you can access if you need further support. Calm, Headspace, and Smiling Mind are useful apps which you can download on your phone if you would like to practice mindfulness. Kuth is a very useful online counseling service for young people living in Barnet. We have also included 2 self-help books for young people if you want to learn more about anxiety and strategies on how to manage it.
Thank you for listening, and thank you so much for your time with us. We hope you can take with you some messages that will help you when you feel stressed or worried. If you have any questions or you would like to tell us how you found one of the strategies we shared, please let us know. We would love to hear from you. You can email us at bix@barnet.gov.uk. Thank you.